Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic, that's known classic. That's episode number 2572 and episode number 2466. Now, first up, we are discussing issues from Marvel Team Up 112 to 130, along with annuals 4, 5, and 6. 112 is a time travel issue where Spider-Man teams up with King Cole. You're thinking, really? That's an issue for this book. Oh, yes. Definitely. Yeah. It's kind of weird the fact King Cole is even here because currently Marvel doesn't have the rights to publish him anymore. They did, but then they lost the right. This actually was his sole appearance in the book. He previously appeared in Bizarre Avengers number 26. His next appearance after this one issue is in Cole the Conqueror number 1. Yep, we also with Doctor Strange, Wong, Brill, and Tu, and Juk Luk. Yeah, this one-shot villain appears on the cover, and that's it. Oh, by the way, I should point out that all the issues I'm discussing here are written by James DeMatteis. Yep. In issue 115, we have Spider-Man team with Quasar taking on frickin' Lightmaster. Yes, Lightmaster, who last appeared in... That's not the book I could think of. Yeah, this is a character who didn't really appear all that much over the years. Not really, no. Like, prior to this book, this one issue Marvel Team Up, his last appearance actually was in Amazing Spider-Man 203, which that was sort of a crossover with Dazzler. Yep. And of course, Quasar, he last appeared in Dazzler number 10. And his next appearance is in Dazzler 13. Yeah, it's like he's like a supporting character in that book for reasons. Yep. Issue 114 teams the Falcon taking on a character named Stoneface, who last appeared in the issue of Captain America. So, yeah, it's simply put, basically, yeah, you can think of it as like Spider-Man Falcon taking on some Captain America villains. Yep. In issue 115, we have Spider-Man and Thor take on the Mindbender. Yeah, this weird alien creature, which I believe this was his debut appearance. And then he appears in the following issue, and then he appears in Quasar, and that is it. This later leads to a team-up with Valkyrie. Valkyrie herself last appeared in Marvel Team-Up number 111. Her next appearance after this very issue is in Death of Marvel number 1. Yep. Excuse me. And then 117, it begins sort of a multi-part story arc from issues 117 to I think about 119, where it's Spider-Man team with various members of the X-Men take on Professor Power. Yep. Yeah, and I mentioned before that I was discussing his first appearance, and here we go. Yeah, he's only here for issues 117, 118, returns 124, and then he pops in Fenders. Yep, and then 118 Spider teams up with Professor Xavier to take on Professor Power, Menslow, and the Fixer. And it's all about fixing fixing Menslow. Yep. Oh, by the way, in the case of Menslow, his last appearance was actually in Micronauts 25, which they mentioned in the book. Yeah, apparently he suffered like a meltdown. Yeah, they mentioned in this book. And then, like, right after this one issue, he next appears Avengers 287. Yep. The Fixer next appears in Avengers A number 13. Thank you. So his previous appearance, part of this very issue, was also in Micronauts number 25. Yep. Overall, really good two-part, and then basically Spider teams with the Grey Gargoyle take on Barney, Manuel, and Vinny. It's like, okay, Gargoyle. Okay. And then 120 teams with Dominic Force to take on Eternity Century. Yeah. A Spider-Man villain. Who previously appeared before this very issue in the issue of Captain America. And then he popped up again in Captain America. And then he popped up in the issue of Iron Man, where I think he died. Popped up in Punisher, Spirit-Full Spider-Man, and last appeared in Spirit Spider-Man Playing number 9. So yeah, it's basically a Spider-Man team with a B-lister take on basically a minor character. And 121 teams up once again with Human Torch take on Speed Demon. It's also first appearance of the heroic Frogman. Yep. Who is actually a second generation character. His father was Leapfrog. He's sadly no longer alive. Yeah, apparently the writer of Murder World Moon Knight killed him off. And that writer was Jim Zeb and Ray Fox. Yeah, they killed him off. Leapfrog is still very much alive. Yep. And then 122 teams with Man-Thing and take on Ian Fate. Yes. In the character's last ever appearance. He last appeared in Defenders 104. Yep. It's like, okay. Yeah, also the issue is noteworthy for having Jameson punch the guy in the face. Yes, seriously. So then we have in issue 123, Spider-Man and Daredevil take on Solar, who last appeared in the issue of Dazzler. Like, you're probably thinking, Nick, what's up with basically Spider-Man taking on Dazzler character appearing Dazzler? I have no idea because the guy next appears in the issue of Power Man Iron Fist. Yeah, where he kind of dies, but then he comes back for the Alpha Flight special, JLA Avengers 4, and he appears in 2 issues of Dark X-Men Volume 2, where in issue number 4 he gets killed off. Yeah, it's weird. Oh, I should bring up the annuals. The annuals 4, 5, and 6. Let's talk about these annuals before we talk about the very next issue. And number 4, Spider-Man teams up with the Heroes for Hire, Moon Knight, and Daredevil. They're taking the Kingpin of Crime and Purple Man. Yep. And the annuals are by Frank Miller. Yep. Really interesting annual. And number 5. So I think it was this book with Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, the Thing, and Quasar take on, well, the God Set. Yeah, it's also involved with Serpent Crown. Really fun annual. And Serpent Crown, it's Mark Grillo. He writes and draws this book. As for the penultimate ever released, Marvel Team Up Annual number 6, Spider-Man teams up with Cloak and Dagger and the New Mutants to take on some mobsters. And it's about Bill Mansell and Ron Fritz. An absolute really good annual. Yep. So annuals 5 and 6 are really good. And then in 124, we once again deal with Return of Power, Prince of Power, which is all about basically the way saving Beast's life. Of course, next appearance in Defenders 126. Yep. Yeah, it's like this book kind of in a way led into Beast's appearance in Defenders. Well, he next appears in issue of Avengers 231. Yeah. It's a great follow-up having Beast's parents. Yeah. Norton McCoy is Hank McCoy's father. Yep. Eden is his wife. Vera Cantor. Yeah, she at one point was Beast's girlfriend. But nothing much is done with this character. If you're curious, her last known appearance was actually in X-Men The Hidden Years number 2. Really? Yes, really. So, kind of discussing this book, it's pretty much done with this character. No, seriously, I'm pretty much done with this character. Yep. 125 begins one of 2 straight issues where we basically have a backup story. We have Spider-Man Tiger take on S.W.O.R.D, who last appeared in The Cat number 1. Yeah, so basically he's a character from Tiger is David. The Becca feature is done by Mary Duffy. Excuse me. It's mostly puts Doctor Strange Skull taking on a demon. Interesting stuff. 126, I was Spider-Man team with the Hulk. I think in his last time here in the book. But the opening story is basically Son of Satan and Power Man taking the Sons of Sintish. That's the Jim T is. The backup story is by Jim Shooter. Yep. And the Jim Shooter story is taking on Street Thugs. And then right after these 2 issues, like, oh, they'll feature. And then right next issue is back normal. Where it's basically Spider-Man supposed to team with the Watcher, but not really. It just it's like the way this issue is written. It's like a standard issue of a Spider-Man book that probably the writers at the time they wanted to use Amazing Spider-Man, so put him on a team up and claim a team up, even though that there's no team up. In 128, Spider-Man teams up with Captain America to take on Vermin. Yeah, and they also basically go into the backstory. By the way, Vermin last appeared in Captain America 278. Yeah, mostly put in a way, you could think of this annual as basically Captain America handing off Vermin off to Spider-Man, who's become a recurring villain for him since then. And back in the issue, they actually sort of they actually explain of how the cover came about, how this picture came about on the cover. In the last 2 issues, Spider-Man teamed with Vision and Scarlet Witch to take on something Alpha Officer Bob Rubens. Alpha is an android, and Bob Rubens, he was just a serial killer in this issue, and the next issue teams up with the Scarlet Witch to take on Nicodemus. And Nicodemus last appeared in let's see. Oh yeah, he was an old Defenders villain. So, yeah, he last appeared part of this very issue Marvel team up in Avengers 128. That was his previous appearance. Yeah, he started as an old Defenders villain. And that's it for this book right now. But these issues are fantastic. Not a bad issue in this bunch. But the most surprising issue is King Cole. But it's a pretty good issue. Now moving on to Spider-Woman. In the last Spider-Woman book to cover, now you might think, okay, what about Giant Spider-Woman and Giant Spider? I'm not going to cover that one because I've covered kind of part of it already, so I'm not going to talk about that one. But what about Spider Island? I'll discuss that. Spider-Woman. I'll discuss that one shot. I'll discuss my hands the Spider Island companion book. Now, this book is basically Spider-Woman Volume 7, which is also referred to as, actually more like Volume 4. So Volume 4. The title of the trade this is collected is Spider-Woman Agents of S.W.O.R.D, written by Brian Michael Bendis, artwork by Alex Maleev, which is also adapted into a motion comic. It lasted 7 issues. The reason why they had to stop it, they explained the end of the last issue, because they work on this and the motion comic at the same time. It was just too much for them. The whole purpose of this book was to promote a motion comic. That's it. It started really good. Let's find out. The story basically begins with Jessica Drew in her apartment rather than a secret invasion, where she's about to commit suicide by having a Vendablast or a fist pointed at her head. It's like she really wants to kill us because she's suffering from, she's recovering from being abducted by aliens, the freaking Skrull. So Abigail Brand appears and says, "Hey, I got a job. Hey, I got a job for you. You want to hunt? You want to hunt people who basically kidnap you? Fine. I want you to be Agent of S.W.O.R.D for me. And you're going to Manjapur to fight Skrulls. Yep, we're going to Manjapur. Yep. And throughout the book, basically, she fights Skrulls until she's caught by the police and she got out because of her pheromone stuff. Yes. And then she has an encounter with the Thunderbolts. Yes, seriously. The Dark Reign Thunderbolts, led by Norman Osborn. Members at the time where I think we're just Yelena Beloved, though, the later work on this being Natasha Romanoff. I think it was Paladin, Headsman, Ghost. I'm trying to make sure I get this correct now. It's Black Widow, the fake Black Widow, Eric O'Grady, Paladin Ghost, and the Headsman. Yeah, and their hair is like where they try to arrest her, and I'm like, you read this book like you do know she's a government agent. You can't arrest a government agent just because she is a superhero because she's not registered. You have to arrest her, despite the fact she's not in the United States. She's in Manjapur. You cannot arrest her here. But they tried to. Oh yeah, they tried to. And then pretty much basically that then we have new Avengers show up to deal with another Skrull, and that is sadly it for the book. But this book was just fantastic. Alex Lee's artwork is really good, and well, Bendis does a great job writing this book. I kind of wish this was lasted longer because this book was so good. And here's the strange thing about the Age of S.W.O.R.D stuff. Heard about Age of S.W.O.R.D? Like, here's the weird thing related to this. Like, oh yeah, more opportunities for S.W.O.R.D to hunt down like dire wraiths. Yeah, here's the strange thing. They never bring anything up about S.W.O.R.D in any book she appears in. No, seriously, it's like basically the whole S.W.O.R.D stuff just dropped. You're thinking, really? Yeah, that's the weird thing about this book. It's like, as soon as this book wraps up, like, any mention of Jessica Drew being part of S.W.O.R.D is dropped from Marvel Comics. It's like, what happened in this book is contained in this book. You're probably thinking, does Bendis bring this up in the stuff related to his Avengers stuff? No! This is brought up in the S.W.O.R.D series. Nope. Yeah, the whole thing of her... Now, by the way, S.W.O.R.D is technically back in a way after it was supposedly replaced by the Alpha program. His last known appearance was actually in X-Men Red number 15, which came out just September of last year. Yeah. Which they've released about a few more issues since then. 18 is like the final issue of the series. It replaced it with the resurrection of Magneto. But yeah, the whole thing of Jessica Drew being Agent of S.W.O.R.D, never brought up again. Yeah, that's the strange thing about this book. It's like, it's good, really good stuff here, and then as soon as the book wraps up, I guess some editor's like, don't ever mention what happened in this book. Never, ever mention what happened in this book. Because by bad timing, Siege happened long after this. I'm not kidding about that. Once this book wrapped, the book was basically like still publishing at the same time. They basically published it at a weird time. Like, the first issue of this book came out in September 2009. Yep. The volume didn't conclude until March of 2010. Basically, at the time this book was coming out, if you think about it, like, basically this book wrapped up. Oh, basically what happened in this book, never mentioned again. Her hunting Skrulls, her basically hunting dire wraiths, like, so much cool potential stuff. Throw that away because apparently nowhere near Marvel had anything to do with this book at all. And like I mentioned, book is not terrible. Book is really good. And I'm going to give the Spider-Man book a 10 out of 10 because I feel it's really good. Because it tells a good story, a good start, middle, and end. I just kind of wish it lasted longer. Just the only problem is basically Bendis and Lee worked on the most comic at the time. That's the only reason the book ended. Yep. So yeah, that's a particular view. That might be it tomorrow. Who knows? So please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. So do this tomorrow. Bye.